Hey everybody, I hope you've all had a great weekend. Mine was actually pretty good. Had a nice relaxing one for once. But yeah, so I think I said on Twitter, but I'm gonna try to get back into daily streams, like I used to do over the summer. The 2 streams a week just never seemed to work out because I was gonna try to do longer streams and something always came up. And I also noticed that whenever a day, one of the 2 streaming days would come up, I would always feel pressure to have like some kind of really good stream, and so I would end up just skipping the day if for some reason that couldn't happen. So I think just doing daily streams is better because it's less pressure and just shorter bursts. So yeah, I guess it'll be fine. But so unfortunately, November is a bit of a weird schedule. Like I know tomorrow I probably won't be able to stream, and then I'm gonna have a pretty long Thanksgiving break because probably have family. But yeah, I guess we'll worry about that when it comes to it. But besides tomorrow, this week and next week should be I'm planning to try to stream every day, so we'll see. Every weekday anyway. So let's actually get into the programming. So we're trying to connect using Unity's low-level multiplayer API, which is slightly different than the, well, not slightly different, it's the high-level API is kind of built on top of it. But for this game, because I wanted to have complete control over the messages that are sent and how they're sent, the low-level API will actually work better. Also, Unity is planning to, the word escaped my mind, deprecate the high-level API and the low-level API coming pretty soon. So the low-level API is pretty simple, and so I think it'll be easy to convert to whatever system Unity uses next, whereas the high-level API is, I guess, not simple. So yeah, it'd be hard to convert a project using the high-level API to anything else. So that's another reason why I decided to go with this. But anyway, so it has changed a bit since the last stream. I fixed a whole bunch of bugs, and now I got to the point where a separate client can actually connect to the server, and they'll send ping messages back and forth. So let's go ahead and try that out on stream. I'm just gonna build a Windows version, and I'm going to use the Mono backend instead of the C++ backend because the Mono one takes much less time to compile, so it's much better for testing. So once that's done, we'll be able to start up the game. Okay, so start this up. Okay. We're gonna put everything on the screen. Anyway, so right now we've got to make sure that the server is already online before we try to join as a client. But when we do join, we should see, yeah, we're getting pings. So we're sending a ping to this client, and then we're also receiving pings back. So yeah, it is connected. Yeah, before I would get errors. Yeah, the only bad thing about Unity's LL API is that the documentation is not very good. So yeah, I had to do a whole lot of experimentation to actually get this to work. So I mostly did that off stream because it would have been pretty boring on stream, I think. But let's see. Okay, so that's all done. Now, yeah, my actual goal with this project is this is basically just a prototype for a multiplayer game that I'm gonna make using this system. But what I want to do is just kind of get a handle on the LL API because this is my first time to use it. Hey, Spicy Grizzly, thanks. Yeah, it's going pretty good so far, so. Okay, so what I want to do is basically we want to have two game objects, just a player 1 object and a player 2, and each player will be able to move them around on screen, and I want to synchronize the movement between clients. Unity kind of has something like this built in using the high-level API, but it doesn't give you much control over it, and I want this game to be pretty responsive, so it'd be better if I just had direct control over it, because I, of course, know the inner workings of the mechanics of my game. So yeah, we'll just create these two. Probably would be better if they were prefabs. Okay, so let's try that. I guess let's just create a capsule. Oh yeah, and the canvas is really huge compared to the game. What do I want to do? I guess it doesn't really matter in the editor. Okay. I won't need a collider, so I'll go ahead and get rid of that. Yeah, we're just gonna basically move these two objects around. Okay, and I'll set it as a child under the player object. Okay, so let's see. Let's make them be different colors. So I'll need to create some materials for that. Okay, I guess I'll be good and have a folder here instead of just putting everything in the asset folder. This will be player 1 material. Okay. Oh yeah, and I'm not using any render pipelines here, so we'll just use the standard shader. Really all I want to do is have different colors, so I guess let's have player 1 be blue and player 2 can be red. Okay, so if we assign that material, yeah, there we go. Okay, and let's create another folder for prefabs. Right there. And if we drag the player 1 into the prefab folder, it will go ahead and create that. And I'm just gonna make a copy of it, and this will be player 2. And that way, if we change anything about player 1, we can assign it also to player 2. Wait, is player 1 a prefab? Oh yeah, I just didn't tell if it was blue or... I can't wait until 2018.3 comes out, because it has all the new prefab workflow, and yeah, it's looking really good. Now it's gotten sunny out, so my webcam has blown me out a bit, but okay. But one thing we want to do is, of course, have a different material for player 2. And we'll just set this color to red. And then if I drag that onto there... Oh, well, they're on top of each other, so you can't tell, but... Okay. Let's actually set this... let's do, I don't know, -2 actually. And then player 2 will set 0 and +2. Okay. And then yeah, once we connect, we'll probably want to hide this UI canvas. Okay, so I guess what we should do now is, once we've gotten the message that we have connected to the other player, we can go ahead and move on to the next phase. So I don't think I have anything that watches for that yet. This message receiver is what gets messages or events from the network. So we get this connect event from Unity, and then I just queue this connect event event class. But I don't think anything actually. Oh, something does. Okay, so this class grabs this new connection event and then plugs in the information into these connections. So probably what I can do also is once this happens, it can just throw some event to let the system know to move on. Actually, we should probably separate this because I could see, yeah, we'll want to test disconnecting too. So when we disconnect, we wouldn't want to fire that event. So yeah, I guess we should just have something else. I don't know, let's call it first connection. Well, not listener, because that's something else. First connection. Watcher, I guess. Okay, and this is network test namespace, and I want it to implement the flow logic container class, or extend flow logic container class, and this class just helps me use the event system that I've set up. So we'll need, okay, yeah, we'll just need the game state. We can have it generate a constructor. And, oh yeah, it's still complaining because we need to pass the event queue up to the flow logic container parent class, which unfortunately Microsoft Studio will not do automatically, but we'll live. So now we want to add a new event. Oh no, we want the latest event listener for a new connection event. And this will pass that event to this function whenever it's on the stack, or I guess queue. But we actually don't really care about the information in there. So yeah, we really just care about the state. So I could have done an event exists listener, but yeah, if we're in the connecting phase, then we can go ahead and throw, well, not throw an event, but add an event that we're connected to somebody. So, public class first connection made. Okay. Sounds fine to me. And the way we do that is just calling events queue and then new first connection made. Okay, and then back on the game phase manager, we'll want to listen to that new event, and once we receive it, then we can go and proceed to the gameplay phase. Yeah, so this is basically the same kind of structure I'm using in the Tactical Lizard Tamer game. And it worked so well there, I thought, well, might as well just use it on this as well. It's nice because it keeps most of these classes pretty independent of one another. So it helps a lot in debugging. Alright, and so here, well, again, this is a little redundant, but just so that we won't have any invalid changes here. We check again to make sure we're in the right phase, and if we are, we'll move on to the movement phase. So I guess let's check to make sure that works. I'll need to build the client again. Thankfully it doesn't take too long. Okay, no dropped frames or anything. Good. Oh, it's getting dark again. Alright, that didn't take too long. Oh, but I just realized I did something wrong. Okay. I guess I don't need to close this window. I forgot to initialize this first connection watcher, so this doesn't actually run yet. What I need to do is go to the network test game, and so this initialize function does a few things. First, it creates a new instance of this first connection watcher class. Then it passes to it all of the all of these objects that it needs to function, and then it inserts it into an update list with this priority, which just means it will update after anything with a priority higher than it. That's what that function does. I always forget to put new classes in there. Okay, I guess I should play this one time to make sure that there's no bugs. But I'm not really building this game to work without a second player at the moment. So if I ever want to test anything, I'm going to have to build this second client. That's okay. This prototype is just for testing networking anyway. Alright, let's see. Okay, so start that up, and I can press play here. I guess I'll move this. Okay, so I'll start server. Okay. And if we start the client. Yeah, so we did send a ping. I also, okay, I wanted to check to make sure that we got this message that the phase changed from connecting to movement, which we did. Okay, so now we can actually start trying to synchronize the movement. Okay, so this is a little more difficult than just sending movement back and forth, but I think we're going to start with that. So I guess we could just send my position to the other client every once in a while, but then we'll still get kind of choppy movement. So in the final game, or the final prototype, what we'd want to do is send the position, the velocity, and also the time. And using those three values, the second player can place us at a certain position, and then also use our velocity to kind of guess where we would be in the future until we get another message. Well, I know that's how I want it to work, so I might as well just build it like that from the start, because I don't think having a stuttering thing is going to help very much. Let's see. Okay, well, I guess let's first make a script that will capture the input. Let's not call it that. Input state. So I guess we're going to move just on the 2D plane. Yeah, probably I need to mess around with the camera, because right now I can't actually see anything, but... So we'll just have vector 2. I guess move input. Oh, we don't have to. Input is a little redundant because it's already the input state. And then I'll have a class, so I'll just be the input updater. I could go grab this from another game because I use it all the time, but let's just rewrite it. Okay, so again, this is going to be a flow logic container, so it can use the event system. And we'll want to get the game, or wait, not game input, input state. Now usually what I try to do is have this input updater just grab the input. It doesn't actually care about the state of the game. There'll be some other class that will filter the input to only be used at the right time. So yeah, I'm not going to have the game state here. I think that's the only class it will need, so we can just generate the constructor, and again I'll have to pass the event queue up to the parent. Okay, so I want to override the tick function, and this is what is called every frame. Okay, so we want to get Unity's input axis. I wonder if it's already set up. Okay, yeah, it does have horizontal and vertical here. So let's just do input. Oops. Okay. I should probably change this. Let's change it to date, I guess. Just so it's not so confusing. So this will be the Unity engine input, and I'll just go ahead and add a Unity engine using statement up here. So I want to get axis horizontal. I think it's case sensitive. Now, if you're asking me, this input system has needed an update for a long time, but I guess Unity is pretty happy with it because I don't know if they're even really working on it. I think that there is some kind of new input system, but I've never seen anybody use it, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. But anyway, I think we can just take these and just add it and store the values here. One nice thing about this is that it does take into account like dead zones and things like that. But I guess we're not going to have a controller, so that doesn't really matter. In the final game, we definitely will not want to use this getAxis. We'll want to just use another function called getAxisRaw, because getAxis has like some acceleration and other ways that it tries to smooth this input over time, but we don't really want, we'll want to have complete control over it. But yeah, this will be fine for this prototype. Okay, so before I forget, what am I looking for? Yeah, this test game. I'll want to initialize this class, so because I probably would forget it otherwise. Okay, so do I already have an input priority? Oops. So you want this input updater to run before most other classes because, okay, I don't have one, so let's go create that, so that the input state will be up to date at the beginning of the frame. I think we can. It doesn't really matter where I put it, but that should be fine. Yeah, as long as it's before normal, I think it would have been fine. Okay. So now I want to somehow transform this value into actually moving the player. So how do I want to handle that? Probably we'll just need another class that will store information about player 1 and player 2. Let's see. I guess I'll just call it positions. Okay, and this will have a vector 2 and yeah, vector 2 position, a vector 2 velocity. Okay, just one Y. Note to self. And then, okay, well, we don't need a timestamp here. Because the timestamp is only when we are decoding messages from the server. Yeah, and this will just have the actual positions of these objects. I guess we could just have an array here. We'll just hard code in 2 players, so we'll be fine. Int I equals 0. Player's length. I'm still not used to that. Yeah, a while ago I had to reinstall Visual Studio, and some of the input is slightly different than what I'm used to, so I keep on messing up a bit there. Like whenever, for some reason when you do an if, used to, it would place the cursor, like if I went like that, it would place the cursor here, but now it places it here, so I have to remember to press up before I start typing. Probably there's an option to change that somewhere, but I get tired of looking through the option menus. Okay, anyway, so this is fine. We're gonna need to add that to the context so other classes can use it, which I think I actually forgot to put the input state, so let's do that. The context. And what this class does, or what this function does, is just creates a new instance of whatever this class is, and adds it to the context so that anything that's initialized can use it in their constructor, or can grab it in their constructor, I guess is a better way to say it. Okay, so that's good. Another thing I want to do is have a class that will actually convert these values into values that Unity sees here. Because right now, okay, if we just change those positions, it doesn't actually update anything here. So I guess let's go ahead and do that. Transformer. What did I just do? Did I not create that class? I guess not. Okay, I don't know what happened there, but anyway, so this will again be another flow logic container. And this will need the positions and the game state and the input state. No, actually it won't need that because this won't need either of those because actually all it's doing is just changing these pockets. It's changing the positions to here into unity coordinates, so it doesn't actually care about the input. So one other thing I should do, I guess, is I need to have a way that the game can get these two, and probably the easiest way to do it is just to use my game object hook class, which just lets me assign a name to these classes that my game framework can use. But I'll just call this player 1. Oh, actually that's player 2. I should probably apply that. And then remove this extra one and then just rename it. I kind of did that backwards. Okay, so now I need to use the game object registry. Okay. Oops, got the V there. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna test something real quick to see when. I don't know if it would print it anymore. Yeah, but depending on the order that these scripts run, when this constructor is called, these game object hooks might not have registered this object yet. So I probably need to... Okay, maybe this isn't actually the simplest way. Okay, yeah, let's just do a more standard Unity thing. This game object registry is nice, but it's a little bit more complicated than this game needs. Let me see. I guess this will just be player game objects. Okay, and this will be a mono behavior because we'll want to actually have it in the Unity editor, and then this will just have public game object. Oh, I guess we could just do an array, so this will be players. Okay, and then this position transformer won't need this anymore, and we'll just get a handle, oops, on this class. Which will use the game object dot, oops. Okay. Dot find, which Unity will just find. Oh wait, actually it's find object of type. Yeah. Unity will find an object of this player game objects type and pass it to us, which is what we want. Okay, so now we can finally actually transform those positions. I'm just going to do something really simple here. So for int p equals 0 less than position player's length. So we'll need to transform the 2D position that's in this class into the 3D position of the That's not what I want to do. So position 2D is Oh, I see what's happening. I should probably rename one of these variables. That's better, I think. Oh, yeah, the names here are a little confusing. So anyway, the position 3D will just be 2D.x, and then we'll set the y to 0. Because I want it to move on the XZ plane in Unity, which is left and right, and then into and out of the screen. While I'm here, why don't I just go ahead and set up the camera better? It's compiling. Okay, so this will be the camera anchor. Okay, and now I can rotate this however I want. Okay, so now these objects can move around a bit. Hello. Good. Here. Yeah, so now we can actually tell the movement on the Z plane a little better. Okay, and so then we just set game objects layers p dot or transform dot position equals position 3D. Said the right thing, but typed the wrong thing. Okay, so I can go ahead and initialize this object, but there's not really any reason to test it yet because nothing ever changes the value and the positions. Where is it? Keep on trying to find this network test game. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the UX priority, which basically just means it's kind of the presentation of the game. It doesn't have any game logic, it just reacts to previous things. Okay, so now we're ready to actually look at the input. So we're going to need to know if we're the second or the first player. Well, that's actually not hard to do, but let's see. It would be nice if I had a helper function though. So player index would basically just be assigned by whatever network type. Well, maybe we want to separate it. I don't know why that would matter though. Because in our final game, player 1 will always be the host. So anyway, I think I'm thinking too far ahead. Okay, so this class will take the input and then just move the player. Okay, so let's just call it player. Okay, so I want to separate this from the net controlled player because it will basically react completely different. Let's call this the local player mover. So again, use that class just to help us out with events. Okay, so what does this need? First, it needs the positions, and then it needs the input, and then it needs the game state because we'll only want to actually move the player if we're in the right game state. This class shouldn't care about any network stuff, so I think we're good with this. this in a new line. Okay, let's see. So one thing I just noticed is that the positions start off with player 1 and 2 both at 0. So even though right now they're separated, when the game starts, they would collapse. I guess I could actually, oh no, because I'd have to rebuild the player, so there's no reason to do that, and that's just because here in positions, their position starts at 0. I'm going to be kind of lazy. Normally I wouldn't want to do this, but since this is kind of just a quick and dirty game to test the networking, I'm just going to initialize these values here. Oops, just do vector 2, and then players 1, position equals new. That'll get the job done. Okay, and then every tick, which is basically every frame. What do I want to do here? Okay, so somewhere we're gonna want to have like a player speed. Constant. Trying to decide if anything else would ever want to use this. Okay, well let's actually, yeah, well it won't be, oops. Let's not be completely lazy and just create, I don't know, a physics, or let's not even call that, I guess, game constants class. Usually I make this a mono behavior so that we can edit it in the Unity editor, but I think that wouldn't really be very helpful here. So yeah, we'll just have, I don't know, max speed and acceleration. So yeah, we'll just have some kind of simple physics here. Yeah. Yeah, we'll just do something really simple. Probably final game we wouldn't want to do this, but it'll be okay. Okay, so let's actually make a separate function. Void update player, and we'll just pass in the actual player class. Okay, and I guess we'll actually need the game constants here now. I'll go ahead and add this to the constructor because I probably will forget if I don't do it right now. Alright, so we'll have, I guess a vector 2 wanted velocity, which is basically the input times the max speed. And then the actual velocity would be something like, I guess I don't need to do that. Unity has this cool function called move towards, which moves one vector towards another vector with a specific what am I trying to say? A specific acceleration or change. So what I do is dot velocity, and then the target is this wanted velocity, and then the acceleration, and again we'll need to multiply this by the delta time, which is the time since the last frame. And then we can add that onto the position. We just multiply that again by the delta time. I can type it. Okay, so that's a really simple physics system. It would be really floaty and kind of like, oh yeah, it's not that good at simulating it if you actually have feet, because when you have feet you can stop easier. So this will be kind of like you're on ice, but it'll be fine for this simple test. Let's see. Okay, still have about 15 minutes, so we should be able to test this out, I hope. Okay, I guess I do kind of need the information about the network, because I need to know which player I am. Unless I added that to the game state. I don't think that really helps much. Okay, let's just add it in. We're gonna need to have a new line here because it's not all gonna fit. Okay, so if net dot net type is client, then we'd update player positions 1, so the second player. Oh, what's it not like about that? Oh yeah, positions isn't the array itself. There we go. And we'll assume this is not really a good thing to do in a full game, but for this test, we'll just assume any other possibility that we're the server. Okay, so that should be fine. There might be a cleaner way to do it, I don't know. Well, I mean, there definitely is a cleaner way. Oop, we're getting some dropped frames now. A shame, so sorry about that. Actually, did I go offline? Because I don't know. Yeah, it looks like I actually did go offline for a bit because it says my stream has only been on for 11 minutes, so I'm sorry about that. Got too engrossed in streaming to notice. I'm trying to think where I would have been, what I would have been doing then. Hopefully I wasn't offline for long. But yeah, anyway, I apologize. But let's just keep going, I guess. Okay, let's see. I guess we should test this out before we go any further. So, local move player, or local player mover. I think this can just go into the normal tick priority, and then we'll also need to add the game constants here. The game constants doesn't really even need to be its own class, it could just be a static class, but we'll just leave it like this in case we ever do want to put it into the editor. Alright, so let's try this out now. I'm going to build. Well, I guess before I do that, I should actually make sure there's no errors, but fortunately we can't get past this. Okay, but there was an error, so I'm glad I tested. Got a null reference. Oh, yeah. Got to fix this constructor. Yeah, I need to do something to hide this UI too. I don't know if I care too much, but something else was wrong. Position transformer. Oh yeah, I didn't set up that game objects class, so let's do that. Okay, so now it looks like everything is working. At least with as much as we can tell right now. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and build another player. It shouldn't take too long. Oh, okay, I did something silly. I should have looked at the warnings here because max speed and acceleration are never assigned, which basically tells me that they're going to stay 0. So yeah, what I should have done is right here, set this. I don't know. We'll need to test these, but let's not go super fast actually. This should be fine. And then also here I realized I forgot to check the game state, so if phase state is movement, we'll do this. Otherwise we don't want to move the players before we're connected. Oh right, I need to build another client again. Okay, so hopefully this will not explode on me when we actually connect the players together. Okay, so first we need to start the server and the client. Okay, so nothing's wrong so far. So if okay, yeah, we're getting movement, but obviously if we check on the second player, the blue hasn't moved there. That's just because we haven't done any networking yet. But if I did arrows, yeah, it should move the red, and it does. Yeah, and again, the physics are really simple, but they get the job done. Okay, so the next step is actually sending messages to the other player whenever we move. And as long as the input vector doesn't change, we don't have to send another message. So because the client just assumes if it doesn't get a message that the player is going to keep moving in a straight line. Or not even a straight line, it's going to keep moving, I guess what's the word, as according to the physics. So basically what we need to do so we actually don't need to send the velocity over. Or even the position. We really just need to send the input. But let's see. To me it seems like it'd still be a good idea to send over at least the position every once in a while to make sure things stay synchronized. Because of floating point errors and things like that. Of course, yeah, one thing I'm not worrying about here is cheating. Because yeah, when you send a position over the network, you kind of have to trust that person based on whatever their position is, that they aren't cheating. But I'm not even going to worry about cheating for this game because I'll probably just be playing with friends anyway. And that's a really complicated subject for real-time multiplayer anyway. Okay, but I guess we only have like 5 minutes left, so I don't know if I really want to get started on it. Because we kind of got hit. This went a lot more smooth than I thought it would. Okay. Let's think if there's something else small we can work on. Not really, because I guess this is just the last thing we have to do. Well, let's just start with just planning it out. So we'll need to have the input or like the state for the network. So I guess, let's see, last net movement. I don't really want to call it event. I guess just received. Okay, so this will just have something. Like I said, I think I do want to pass the position just to help remove floating point errors, floating point rounding errors. And then we can also pass the input. And since everybody has the same max speed, we don't have to pass the velocity, just the input. Oh yeah, and then we need to have a timestamp. Okay, so what would be the timestamp? We can't really go based on the frame, because a frame could be different. I guess we could just use an actual like second. So would I want to use a float? Probably it'd be better to have a double, so we'd have higher precision. So yeah, we'll send some timestamp. I guess it'd probably be second since connection. Okay, that's interesting, because somehow they'll have to decide on some time. So probably what I'll do is the server will start the timer when you connect, and then we'll send you the start time. And then that way the client will know at that point they can move on. Okay, yeah, so there'll need to be some kind of handshake, which we'll have to do in the final game because there'll need to be validation and stuff, but I don't really want to deal with that here. Yeah, so anyway, so I guess this net info should have some like start timestamp. Public float start. Alright. Okay, and so yeah, we'll just need to send that information over the network. Yeah, the position, input, and timestamp, which isn't super difficult. Unity has helper functions that you can write these values to the message stream. And then with this, we can, using the timestamp, we can interpolate this position based on the input, so it should be pretty smooth even with latency. But that kind of thing is the reason why when you play multiplayer games, sometimes characters kind of jump around, because you get these movement receive things after. Like, I guess the server thought that they should have kept moving, but the input actually changed, so they kind of snap backwards. And so we want to avoid that by sending these received events pretty rapidly, but anyway. Okay, so yeah, we only have like 2 minutes left, so I probably won't start on actually sending these messages because, yeah, I don't think there's any work we can really do there. But guess let's just write some to do here. So we'll want to have, I guess, yeah, movement for the remote player. And we'll want to send input, oops, messages, and then receive input messages, and then we'll also want to do the start timestamp handshake. This will actually go first, because we'll need to get that timestamp before we can send and receive anything. And then of course we'll need to do the actual thing that will position player based on messages and interpolation. Okay, but anyway, that's probably what we'll do next stream. Again, I probably won't be able to stream tomorrow because I have some errands to run. But next stream, definitely Wednesday. So yeah. Thanks everybody for coming out, and yeah, I'm excited to start streaming every weekday again. I think it just works better. So hopefully it will be fine for anybody that wants to. But if you do miss a stream, I do upload everything up on YouTube, so you can check anything there if you want to try to stay up to date. This one should be up tomorrow night. And then also we'll post on Twitter whenever I go live, so you can feel free to follow me there. Also, yeah, follow me here on Twitch is another easy way to tell. And finally, I have an Instagram where I've been posting development screenshots for my other projects, if that sounds interesting to you. And then a Discord server where you can chat with me. I try to stay on it most of the day, so it'd be fun to have you there. But I'll have links in chat, or you can check out the video description if you're interested and watching from YouTube. But yeah, I think that's it for me for today. I'm gonna go grab a bit to eat and then work on some other projects. But yeah, I'll see you later. So again, thanks everybody for coming out, and have a great week. Bye-bye.